feeding venomous snakes. What can go wrong, right? Things can go terribly wrong very quickly. You got to realize that you're not feeding a pet, you're managing a predator.
Fangs in your face. Subscribe now.
What's up, y'all? Willie at Venom Central Serpent Center here. Hey, we're gonna shoot another video at you tonight, and this one's gonna be on feeding venomous snakes. I'm gonna give you a few of my tips and tricks and things that I do to kind of keep myself safe while feeding animals. Because let's face it, mistakes happen, and a feeding response is probably one of the worst bites you can take. Okay, because you are going to get envenomated. Because the smell of a rat's in the air, they're a feeding response, a feeding bite, that is a predatory strike, and things can go wrong quickly. Misjudging the strike range, wrong target, there's just so many things that can go wrong. I mean, you can feed a snake 100 times and he'll do the same thing, and then one time, if there's something different, like this ceiling fan that's over my head, okay, if that's on, he catches the wrong scent, a breeze that sends him off into a different direction and sends him into a, instead of a predatory strike, puts him into a defensive strike. So there's a lot that can go wrong. So I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks and things that I do to keep myself safe while feeding snakes. But there's a treat in this one for you. We're going to show you just how dangerous this is. Okay, we're going to show you some videos of mishaps during these recordings. I had snakes blow by the damn prey item and come for me. If I didn't have a rig set up the way that I do when I'm feeding, I'd have been bit 10 times. And there's no doubt about it. I've had snakes shoot out of the cage. So you're gonna see some of these videos, and I'm gonna do commentary over them so you can understand what's going on. This is gonna be a fun one, and hopefully y'all can learn a little something from my 40 plus years experience of doing this, and I've never suffered a bite. I better knock on some wood. So we're gonna get right into it, and I'm gonna start feeding a couple snakes for you and explain to you why I do things. Okay, we're gonna jump right into this next heart-stopping clip.
Fangs in your face.
All right, let's feed a couple of these juvenile Bushmasters. I produced these Stenophrys. These are two-year-olds, so let them pick up that heat signature. Oh boy. The camera might have spooked them a little bit, huh? Oh, he is not feeling it. So that was a little off the chain. So let's talk about this and what went wrong.
Okay, you can notice that I've already got this cage open, but I want you to pay attention to something here. Look at this snake. Its tail is not rattling. It is in a relaxed position. And there, right there, he stopped and slung himself into a defensive position and starts rattling his tail. This snake was sound asleep, and I startled him. And I would think that by opening the glass, the movement of me doing that would have woke him up, but it didn't. He was still sound asleep. I thought maybe he'd pick up the heat signature and he'd reach out and tag it, but that's not the case here. What happened was we startled him and he went right into a defensive posture. So I back up and I try for another strike, and this is the strike that I get. Wow, that was a close one. Okay, if I didn't have that plexiglass shield that covers where my hand is, that's behind the camera, literally, he would have popped me. And also, you got to think about this. I've got an oscillating fan on the floor behind me. And I think that fan might have just been oscillating in the right direction, pushed my heat signature forward right at him also. I forgot to turn that fan off. So that's what happened with this whole scenario. That snake was asleep, he got startled, and that fan blew a heat signature right in his face. Here's another thing to think about. The camera. The camera is mounted very closely to that rat, but it also got a pretty big lens on it, and it looks like a big eye. So to him, it could have been like, this is a big predator, and I got to defend myself. So that's what went wrong with this whole scenario.
Okay, that's pretty intense, right? That Bushmaster would have nailed me if I didn't have my protective guard over my tongue feeding that snake. Okay, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to start by feeding this little melanistic western diamondback, and he's a pistol, and multiple strikes. He's an ornery little son of a bitch, all right? I'm going to give you just a few of my tips and things I do, my protocols that I stick to when I'm feeding snakes to stay safe. I feed frozen thawed. I do feed live from time to time just to add some enrichment into their lives, or if I get a problem feeder that needs live, but Rodent Pro, okay? And today I'm feeding just some small rats, Rodent Pro small rats. We get them like 25 in a bag or something, but they deliver them right to the door. So it's simple and easy. This is one of my bugaboos, all right? I see people doing this. Feeding a venomous snake, a pit viper like this, okay? This is not natural, all right? And they're going in with it, and you're putting yourself at risk here because you're not giving them enough of a wide target to hit on. They don't bite a rat dangling in the air upside down, even though it may work for you. I always tend to pinch them mid-body and present it the way that they would naturally attack a rodent, okay? The right presentation is important. You want to incite a predatory strike and keep this snake's objective on feeding and feeding on this rat, okay? I always think about heat, the temperature of this rat. This is important because you can send a snake into a defensive posture and a defensive strike if it's too hot. And he goes ahead and pops it, and he gets a little bit of heat in his mouth, and it pisses him off, and he's like, what just happened? And then he gets totally off track of a feed, okay? Temperature needs to be just right. I like them where I can touch them. They're warm to the touch. You know, usually about 100 plus degrees is good. But I often cool my hands off, okay? So my hands are nice and cool, and this is what I feed with, okay? Except for my camera stuff, my fangs and your face stuff, I have tongues that are much longer. So we got a camera mounted on it, and I've got an apparatus on it that keeps my hand safe from a mistake. But this way, not this way, okay? Another thing that I do, that this is pretty important, is I kind of dry my rodents off. Just a paper towel, just a quick wipe down, okay? Present them to them like this, but why do I dry them off? So the rodent doesn't pick up substrate, that's part of it, but one of the big reasons is soaking wet rat with a pit viper, okay? It's dropping hot water, misdirects him to a different area for his strike. This sends him into a frenzy where, okay, the heat's over there from the hot water dripping off the rat. That's hot. Then he realizes there's a big hot thing standing behind it, and it sends him into a different direction. So you want to concentrate that strike on this rodent. Entering the exhibit, I'll always just go ahead and get the location of that animal. And I always state on the side that I'm protected. You know, don't open an exhibit with your body right in front of that hole where you just opened it. You'll see different creators doing this, and you'll see snakes coming right out and striking, almost biting them in the face, or almost biting them in the body. That's amateur 101. Stay on the protected side, okay? Open with your hook. Use your tools, all right? Stay out of the way. Now, I won't even walk in front of that. If I do have to walk in front of that or get over there to feed that animal, I'm gonna give it a wide berth, okay? Let's put this down. Let's get our prey item here. All right, now I'm gonna have to step on this side, Dina. Okay, now, presenting this prey item, all right? I'm gonna use the length of my arm and the length of my tongs. Extra extremities should be tucked in behind your back. I'm gonna give a little bit of vibration, a little tap, let them get a whiff of that, and bam, there is a perfect predatory strike. I'm gonna drop it for him. I'm gonna give it a wide berth, walk around, close this exhibit. There you go, safely feeding a snake. That snake didn't trip out, I didn't get multiple strikes, and sometimes he'll do that multiple strike thing if he gets misdirected. My ceiling fan, I don't know if you can see it, it's right above me here. I turn this fan off when I'm feeding anything in this corner. It can blow scent around, and what happens is, the rhinos, the taipans, they pick up that scent, okay, and it puts them on the march. So you go to open a cage for one of them, scent of rats is in the air, and believe you me, they can smell it, they do. When I start feeding stuff in this room, everything gets active, and I won't even be in that end of the damn serpentarium. Snakes start moving because they can smell them in the air. So little tips like that to keep you safe. And this guy's going to be happy. He's going to have him a Rolling Pro snack, and we're going to move on and feed something else for you, a different type of snake. We're going to feed it in a lapid, all right? Because it's a different presentation, and it's a whole different scenario. Okay, we're going to spend a minute talking about this next heart-stopping clip.
Another very large puff adder here, and she's starting to exhibit that same behavior. Now, I call it nestling because they kind of snuggle in back and forth and they kind of get themselves in a position for a strike, and we really don't know what this behavior indicates just yet. They always exhibit it right before a feed or when they know that it's food coming, and often they'll actually lay their tongue out there and leave their tongue out there for a long period of time. I've experienced that also. But we're going to send her some vibration in. And notice that breathing's getting labored. I mean, I think they're building. They're building energy to their muscles for this explosive strike. And puff adders are very patient. They'll wait till that prey item damn near touches them on the nose. Oh! Oh, again! Oh, there it is. There it is.
So let's talk about this and what went wrong.
Okay, we're going in on a large puff adder, and you can notice this snake is starting to nestle in. It's kind of building for a strike. It's already got the scent of the rat inside that cage. But I want you to pay attention to something here and notice the obvious. The cage is all white. The newspaper's white. The prey item is white, okay? And this being a true viper, this isn't a pit viper. It's not focusing in on a heat signature. This snake is a sight hunter, sight and smell. So the smell is filled that cage. It smells nothing but a rat. through the whole cage, but it may be having a hard time identifying exactly pinpointing where this rat is, because I'm moving around so much trying to send some vibration over there. This is going to be a case of a mistaken target, and also scent confusion, because scent is everywhere. So here we go, we're jiggling it around and we're waiting for the strike, thinking that it's going to focus its strike on the rodent itself, but that's not what happens, as you're going to see coming up here shortly. And it's coming. The snake is building. There it goes. There's the first strike. Okay? That snake is focused in on the darkest object moving around, which is the camera behind that rat. My hand, me, wearing a black t-shirt, and it's going on sight more than anything. And there is a second pop because it's seeing the camera moving around. And also, you got to take in consideration the camera is dark, the camera is black, and it also has a lens on it that appears to look like an eye. So that's what this snake was focused in on. This was misdirection, wrong target, scent confusion, all in one. And that's the mistakes can cause you to take a bite while feeding. And here it is again in slow-mo. And if I didn't have my protective shield behind that camera protecting my hand doing these close-up strikes, I'd have been tagged. But we learn a lot doing these.
Okay, so if it looks like you're looking down at me, it's because you are. My wife's standing on a stool to get the full effect of this shot, so we don't miss anything. Next, we're going to feed this Inland Taipan. I like to always keep my tools kind of close to me. I'll use a little bit of a heavier hook for opening glass or doors. I've got a whole bunch of new hooks sent by my buddy Brent Curio over at Snake Addict Hooks. And this is actually what I call a rattlesnake hook. Got a nice big boot there for lifting up them heavier snakes. But handling the elapids, this is what I use. This long skinny hook with a small little hook on it. And let me tell you something. You ever have them elapids get in a bigger hook like this right here? They get in there and they double back over their own bodies, and you got two parts of the snake in the hook and you can't control them. This stops that problem. Long hook with a nice little boot, nice little gate there. Their body fits in there just about perfectly. And every time they try to double back over their own body, they kind of slip off, and you can actually direct them where you need them to go. So hit up Brent and check out his line of snake hooks. Tell them we sent you. I'll put the information in here. Snake Addict Hooks on Instagram. Elapids. Now, this is a different scenario because this is a snake that hunts on sight and smell. And elapids are really clumsy. They're always biting at anything that moves. Once they got the scent of a rodent in the air, of a prey at them, they're biting anything that moves because they're used to kind of running their prey down and tackling it, okay? So moving it around a whole bunch, you're putting yourself in harm's way. I got a technique that I do, and I'll present the prey at him, okay? I'll give him some vibration. I'll bring him to me. I will not reach into a cage with an elapid and feed him. You're going to get bit. I'll bring him to me to the edge of the exhibit, let him come get it, okay? And once he's on it, I'll quit moving it. I'll hold it still and let him come grab it. Because the more you move it, the more you are misdirecting that snake, because it's going everywhere like this. And it's seeing your arm, your hand moving, and it may just decide to go past that rodent and come for your hand. Feeding the lapping is dangerous. It really is. We're going to give this guy another small rat from Rodent Pro. I'm going to dry it off. All right. I'm going to use my heavier hook. And then this one, I'm going to stand back away from this so I'm not boxing myself in a corner. You got to think about every situation as you're doing something and have a plan kind of preset, but things change and you got to think on the fly sometimes. I won't get in the corner and open that thing and stay on this side because that snake decides to shoot out. I got nowhere to go. So give yourself the space to back out of the way if a snake does shoot out and end up on the floor. So with this one, I'm gonna push this open and give this snake a very wide berth. And this snake is awake and he's already looking at me. And I'm gonna present this like this, okay? Remember, hands, extra extremities need to be behind you, nothing hanging out. I'm gonna give this guy a little bit of vibration. And smell. And here he comes. Perfect. Perfect. He's got a hold of it. And I will give him a little bit of tug, just for some struggle, a little bit of enrichment. And it keeps him in the mindset of feeding. He thinks he's killing it. So, do a little jiggle. All right. Step completely around and close this exhibit up. And of course he's behind that stump where we can't really see him that good. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. But don't run them rats around a whole bunch on the end of them tongs, because you're just gonna send that snake into a frenzy. I kind of give them a little bit of play. Once they lock in on it, I hold it still and let them come get it. Okay, so the next snake I'm gonna feed real quick is this ballistic monocle. This thing is an ornery sumbitch. It's got a very strong feeding response. It comes at you like this. Anything that moves, it's biting. It bites the glass, it bites the tongs, it bites the hook. It's got a very strong feeding response. So we're gonna try to keep this snake in the exhibit. And sometimes it ends up on the floor. And that's why I keep my good Cobra hooked by where I can get it. And I keep my can out in case I gotta put it in the can if I can't get it back in the exhibit without a fight. So I've had this snake grab a rat and hit the floor. I literally gotta just grab it up, put it in the can, let it eat in the can, and put it back in the exhibit. Important with Cobras is they're smell driven. You know, it's a scent game with them and a sight game. And like I said, just with that Taipan, moving things around a whole bunch, you're adding to a feeding frenzy. So a little bit of activity. As soon as he sights it, he's got a bead on it and he smells it, let him grab it, then hold it still. But I do play a little bit of tug of war with him. Okay, I'm gonna open this up. I got my hooks ready in case he bounces out on me. I'm gonna stand back on the safe side here. Get that guy opened up. Okay. And here he comes. Here she comes. And she got it. And that went well. Give it a little tug of war. And let's close it up. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. You know, while we're right here, I've seen several people do this, and I've done it, and I've made the mistake of doing it, but I've done it one time and learned my lesson. I see people crack an exhibit door, either if it's a door or sliding glass, like crack it, look at this, whipping his tail around. It's a mean sucker. And go ahead, just have enough there where they can slide the tongs in with a rat and try to feed it, and then release it and close it. That's the worst thing you could possibly do, because you're putting your hands in too close a proximity of that snake. And you've got a crack about that big where your tongs are in there. You can't close the door quick enough. You can't get the tongs out of there quick enough, and the snake's out. It's on your hand. I had a really scary experience happen to me with a black mamba feeding it like that, with a door and trying to coax it out of a high box, and it busted out of that high box, passed the rat up, came up the tongs, pushed the door, came up my arm, around my neck, and shot straight up in the air and turned and looked at me, and it was gaping and shaking its head. And you talk about something that scares the shit out of you. That's it. I learned a valuable lesson. You do not crack a door open and feed a snake. That's the worst thing in the world to do. You open that door up, give it a good space where you can reach in and feed that animal correctly, where you can get back out of the way, hide your other hands behind you, use the length of your arm and the length of your tongs to reach in for that snake, okay? because close like this is a big no-no. You're asking to get nailed. Let's go ahead and talk about this next heart-pounding clip. Okay, we're gonna feed another big female. That is the Bothrops Moojeni. And there she goes on the floor. They are not as accurate as the Bushmasters, but she'll grab it right there. There you go, girl. Remove this hook for a big bit, put her right back in the cage. And that's the norm. They usually end up on the floor. Most Bothrops do. I'm trying to hold the camera and work a snake, so bear with me. Get your ass in there. And what went wrong? Okay, we're going in on big Bothrops Moojeni female, big Lancehead, okay? And I just want to say that the first thing you must always keep in mind while you're working with any of the Lanceheads, any of the Bothrops, is that you never position yourself close to an enclosure with the scent of a rat in the air, with a heat signature, with any of the feeding requirements for these species, because 10 to 1, anytime you open that cage door, that snake is coming out mouth wide open. That's just their behavior. This is species-specific behavior. They're going for the biggest heat signature, which is you. And even though that rodent is hot, it's still going to come for me. That's just their behavior. So, as you can see here, this is what's going to happen. That strike was not directed anywhere near that rat. They're not as accurate as Lachesis, but they do have a mean streak in them, and they're going to bite at the biggest heat signature. That's just behavior on these guys. And 9 times out of 10, feeding these snakes, they end up on the floor because they charge you. Because they're that food driven. They have that strong of a feeding response. And you'll notice when the snake's on the floor, I pinpoint the heat signature down to it, and it locks in, and it takes the rodent. And they're also very capable of multiple strikes in one strike sequence, which you see in a lot of my other videos. So here I am struggling to get this rascal back in the cage, and this is the norm with this species. And a lot of people keep these things, and they think, oh, mine are fine, mine don't act like that. This happens with maturity. When these snakes get bigger, they get bolder, and their whole demeanor changes. So if you've got smaller Bothrops that you're raising in your lab or you're raising for exhibit animals, trust me when I tell you, their whole demeanor is going to change. That's just Moojeni. For the last snake we're going to feed, let's hope this one don't end up on the floor. And usually it does. The Lanceheads, especially the Moojenis, they're just cranky little suckers. And actually this was about 4 foot. It's a pretty good sized female, and she has a very, very strong feeding response. And when I open this glass, she's probably going to come shooting straight out, mouth wide open. That's just what they do, and you got to be prepared for this kind of behavior. See, I've got my normal snake hook out for this because I don't get nowhere near this animal. Anything that has a heat signature, it's biting. There's no two ways about it. And I've already cooled my hands down. And just a quick tip, when you're feeding snakes like this, these, Bushmasters, Lanceheads, your rattlesnakes, all your pit vipers, I see a lot of guys that, like, while they're feeding, they've got their tongs, and they just, tongs are in the bucket with the rats, hot water, okay? This is a conductor, okay? It's steel. It gets hot, heat travels up it, it gets warm, it holds heat. right? Yeah, your rat may be hot, but this is hot also. It may misdirect his strike. He may come up a little higher. He may come for your hand, which is kind of important. Keep your hands cool, keep your tongs cool. Often I'll use 2 sets of tongs. If I got deep water with a lot of rats, I'll leave one in the bucket, pick them out, grab them with the cool tong, and then feed. But another tip with these heat-seeking missiles is your bucket that's hot, full of rats, smell, heat, all the signatures that snake's looking for a feed, okay? You don't never want to keep that like right out in front of your exhibit where you're going to feed, because he's going to go wham right for that, okay? So I'll put that thing well back out of the way. So it's out of the way. I'm going to get my rat. I'm going to dry that rat off like I normally do. All right. We'll get that back out of the way. And we're going to open this standing on the safe side. And I tend to open this up slow just so the snake doesn't jump out and come for me. And then I'll reach in and I'll tend to go high on these so I get that response. That was the perfect delivery right there. Now notice how I have my hand up high, because literally I want that strike to go below my hand. I want to go for the hottest item it could find, which is that rodent. And that's just a little snack for her. And I'll go ahead and give it a little bit of a jiggle so she hangs on to it. And I'm going to go ahead and start the closing process. And I'm going to use my hook to do this. Alright. I'll walk around that end and close that one up. And that's how you do it safely. You do not go anywhere near these Lanceheads because they are heat-seeking missiles, and they often will bite 2 and 3 times in one strike sequence, which you can watch in a lot of my other videos. You watch them, they're going bam, bam, bam. 3 bites, full-on bites in one strike. You can't see it with a naked eye. That's why we slow them down really slow so we can watch it. Boom, boom, boom. Bar none, probably the most dangerous snakes that we keep are these Lanceheads. Well, y'all, this was a fun one for us. We hope you enjoyed it. Hey, I got an idea. I may just start popping up videos, maybe 1 a week, just little 10, maybe 8-10 minute clips, right, of just a species spotlight of some of the snakes at the Serpent Center, and just showing the snake and maybe some interesting facts about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Y'all come on back now, you hear? This is Willie from Venom Central Serpent Center, checking out. Later.